Let's make this episode a special one by just being ourselves and loving ourselves just the way we are. Let go. Round two, Joe Rogan, President Trump, did an hour first. Let's go back with another hour right now. Let go.
Bum crap everywhere.
But let me give you one that
We left off on the poop app. That was a nice place to stop. Let go.
you may not know,
Okay.
which I think you know everything actually as
That's
a
not
student
true.
as a student of yours. but water, in Los Angeles you can't get proper amounts of water.
Right.
And it's unbelievably expensive. And you might have a house in Beverly Hills and they're actually thinking about rationing water. Can you believe it?
I can believe
And
it. I used to live there.
I was in the farm court country with some of the congressmen. We're driving up a highway, and I say, "How come all this land is so barren? It's farmland, and it looked terrible. It was just brown and bad." I said, "But there's always that little corner that's so green and beautiful." They said, "We have no water." I said, "Do you have a drought?" "No, we don't have a drought." I said, "Why don't you have no water?" "Because the water isn't allowed to flow down. It's got a natural flow from Canada all the way up north of water, more water than they could ever use. And in order to protect a tiny little fish, the water up north gets routed into the Pacific Ocean. Millions and millions of gallons of water gets poured. You got to see this. We're driving up, and I had never seen it before. It's like Iowa. It's the most fertile land. Iowa's blessed with great land. Idaho for a potato, right?
Yeah.
But they're just, by the way, some land is good for a potato, some land is good for corn. It's the craziest thing. I love the farmers. They're great. They're the greatest. And by the way, they're getting killed right now.
They are.
They're getting killed because of this stupid administration. But so I see this, and I said, you got to be kidding.
Why did Amazon send me $20,000? Because I use Amazon AI.
I said, you mean you have water? And I looked at it. It's like a valve in your sink, except it's massive. The thing's 5 times taller than your ceiling.
Did you know the center of California was a giant lake?
They have so much water.
You ever see what it looked like before
No,
they rerouted
I never
it?
saw that,
The
no.
center of California, what was it, 200 years ago? How long ago did they do that, Jamie? The center of California had a fucking enormous lake in the middle of
So
California.
they dumped it into the Pacific.
Who knows what they did? But whatever foolishness that they did led to the situation that they're in now.
Think of those dry forests that burned down all over the world. The head of Austria said,
Here it is, Tulare Lake or Tachi Lake. It's a freshwater lake in the southern San Joaquin Valley, United States. Historically, Tulare Lake was one of the largest freshwater lakes west of the Mississippi. Show a photo of what it looked like back then.
it's a great system.
So that's what it looked like. Look at that image. Now go to the one on the third from the right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Oh,
was an
wow.
enormous
What a
lake
beautiful
in the
thing.
middle of California. Imagine that.
That'd be much more valuable
How
property.
crazy is that?
Oh,
But how
wow.
crazy is
So
that's
what
what it
did
used to
they
look
do?
like? And human beings screwed
Yeah, Trump got his mind on business. That'd be much more valuable property.
that
No,
up.
they let it go into the Pacific, and then they.
I don't know
did
what they
something.
did. What did they do? How did it go
Wow.
missing?
They said they drained it in 83.
Yeah, they drained it.
1983. Oh my God.
It went dry a handful of times.
Oh, went dry a handful of times. Well, lakes do go dry, but that's a big one.
But think of
It's a
it.
big one to go
you
dry.
could have all of the water you need. All of that land would have more water. The whole thing could be like that little patch.
Yeah.
Literally, I'd say I was with Devin Nunes, a congressman, and other congressmen. We were going up. I was visiting that because they asked me to go up and visit their territory, and I did. But I kept saying, look at this land. It's beautiful, but it's so dry. And I thought they were going through like a desert, like a drought. They said, no, we have water, but it gets rid. So I looked into it.
What is the fish?
And I got it done. I could have water for all of that land, water for your forests. Your forests are dry as a bone.
Yeah.
Okay?
Dangerous.
That water could be routed. You could have everything. Oh, not only dangerous, billions of dollars a year they spend on forest fires. And, there's a case with the environment. They're not allowed to rake their forests because you're not allowed to touch it. When a tree falls down, after 18 months, it becomes very dry. It's like, like real firewood. It's bad. A tree that's up, these are all things I learned the hard way, the easy way. But when a tree is up, it sucks water. It's wet. I went to they had a couple of horrible forest fires in California, and I said, you got a lot of trees standing. Yes, they were healthy trees, sir. I said, with this intense heat, you could see they were charred a little bit on the bottom, but they were going to be all right because they're soaking wet because they suck up the water, right? But when they fall,
Right.
they're like, it's like lighting a match.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to clean. They call it maintain your forest. So I was with the head of Austria. He said, it's a shame. I see all those forest fires in California, and all they have to do is clean their forest, meaning rake it up, get rid of the leaves, get rid of, leaves that are sitting there for 5 years. And
We'll certainly get rid of the dead fall.
And get rid of the trees that are fallen that are like so many things this country. By the way,
could you really rake the whole
done.
forest, though? I don't think you could rake the whole forest.
Well, you could,
I think you can get rid of the deadfall, but raking all the leaves.
You could certainly get rid of the dead. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the real issue.
Environmentally, they don't want to do that. They don't. They said, it's got to be nature and all this stuff. But in the meantime, this is exactly right. But you could have. So, it was the
Thought you burn it.
Department of Commerce that needed the approvals, but Gavin Newsom had to sign them. I got it all done. Nobody could believe it. It was all done. I said, I got it. You got so much water. All you have to do is sign. And that guy didn't want to sign.
Did he not want to sign because that would be a political victory for you?
I think, no, he didn't. No, I don't think so. He used to say, he's a great president, and we got along. We did. We actually got along at that point. But I think somebody said, you just can't continue to call him a great president. They do say that. But we had it all done. He didn't sign, and then we got on to other things. And I every time I go to California, I said, you have so much water. They don't know it. I'm telling you, people living in Beverly Hills, they turn off the water. Same thing with the electric. They want to go to all electric cars, but they have brownouts every weekend,
Well, right after they made the announcement that as of 2035,
that'll work.
You're not going to be able to buy an internal combustion engine in California.
Yeah.
Like within a month, they had some announcement asking people to not charge their Teslas. Because the grid couldn't handle it. Well, how are you going to handle it?
I will terminate the mandate immediately. That's
Good,
a mandate.
thank you.
That will be done, I would say, in my first day, maybe 2 days, because, it's
Let me
a
ask you
little
about
bit busy.
nuclear. One of the things that
Good.
when I've talked to people that have a real understanding of nuclear power, what their position is, it's probably the cleanest, safest form of electricity that we could generate, and that the fears of nuclear power are really about a few disasters: the Fukushima, 3 Mile Island. These are old systems, and that they're much more capable now, and they're capable of making even better systems. But it's a difficult political issue because you think nuclear power, you think Chernobyl. That's what everybody does. They have this connection. They had the potential
or
disaster.
Fukushima,
Fukushima,
where you're not supposed to enter the land for 3,000 years or something. It's crazy.
I think it's worse than that. I think that area is like going to be radioactive for probably longer than you could imagine. But the point is, they're better at it now,
right?
And that they could do it now, and you can.
We don't need none of that.
Generate power in a way that you don't have to worry about these. One of the most ridiculous things is electric cars being powered by coal-fired plants. It's a ridiculous thing.
That's what's happening.
Yeah, that is what's happening.
What's happening.
And people want to think they're being green, but it's...
Well, you look at the way the battery is made. But here's the other thing. We don't have... Well, we do, actually. It's being held. We have certain areas where we have great raw earth material, and we're not allowed to use it because of the environment. And we have areas in California that have incredible raw earth, and they're not allowing, and I'm going to open it up. I'm going to let them use it.
But how do you do that?
China.
How do you do that and protect the environment?
Because the environment's going to be protected. You can do it. You can make a lake out of it. Okay, we'll put back a lake. I mean, something nice about lakes. You can do things magnificently.
You just have to do it carefully and responsibly.
Absolutely, you have to do it carefully. But the problem, China has all of those areas.
China.
Most of those areas. And yet, when they say go electric with the cars, China is going to be the one that gives us the cars.
China.
All of those guys in Detroit are going to be out of business. You're going to make your electric cars over there. We have a thing called gasoline. And we have more oil and gas under our feet than any other nation. I had, in Alaska, there's a find. It's called Anwar. I got it approved. Reagan couldn't get it. Nobody could get it. I got it all done. It was amazing. They were getting ready to start drilling. The
I he's so self-confident. Hey, even if it was the worst deal ever, that motherfucker make you think it was the best deal ever.
Equivalent, they think, of Saudi Arabia, one of the biggest finds in the world. It was all set to go. And Biden comes in, one of his first orders were, we're not going to use it. It would have been so good we could have supplied all of Asia with oil and gas.
What was the negative?
And you
of
talk
it?
about money.
Right.
The negative was politically they didn't think it was good for them. That's all.
That's all it was. So you
That's
don't
all
think
it
that
is.
it's environmentally
No,
dangerous?
Taking it from way down deep in the earth, environmentally would have been fine.
So it can be done responsibly.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Otherwise,
the point where it
let's not
protects the
do it.
environment.
Well, I think windmills. Okay, so they talk about
good
windmills.
point.
I think windmills are really disruptive. When you talk about the environment, they kill the birds. You want to see a bird cemetery? Go under a windmill someday that hasn't been cleaned out.
Hold up, that ain't funny because the birds died. That boy said a bird cemetery.
With all the bird carcasses, it's like massive amounts of.
Well, they're
birds.
also a massive eyesore. I went to
they're
a ranch in
horrible.
South Texas. We had to drive past this enormous windmill farm, and it's gross. It's dystopian. You're looking in the left and the right, and all you see is these big spinning machines that aren't even that effective at generating electricity.
Correct. Most expensive form of electricity is a windmill. And then they start to rust and rot.
And you have to
And then they
replace
get
them?
abandoned by the people that built them. Because
Well, you have to get rid of all that material too. When you replace those blades, now you have a problem because you have
Can't
to
bury 'em.
dispose. Right, you have to dispose these enormous windmills. And how
By
do
the
you
way, they
dispose
say
of
you
them?
can't bury them. So I even question that, but I'm not going to get into it. But they say you can't bury the blades. So you have the blades, and you can't bury the blades. You can bury the blades. It's not going to matter. You can bury them. You'll find areas you can bury. But they come up. This is what I mean. They come up with this. But the environmentalist dream is windmills, everyone. You know what happens to them? After 5 years, they start to rot. After 10 years, you have to replace them. Did you ever look at certain parts of California where they have heavy windmills and they've been abandoned? And they're all different manufacturers and all different companies, and they all.
I haven't seen that.
It is the ugliest thing. It looks like a graveyard almost, a graveyard of windmills.
It's pollution.
It's so bad.
It's
And in
no
the
more,
oceans.
It's no different than leaving garbage on the ground.
How about in New Jersey, off the coast of New Jersey, they want to build. The people are going crazy not to build them, but where you have them, the whales are washing up on shore.
Right.
So in 50 years, they had one whale come ashore. Now they had like 18 come in the last year.
What is happening with the whales? I've read about this.
Well, they say that the wind drives them crazy. You know, it's a vibration because you have those. You know,
Right.
those things are 50-story buildings. Some of them.
right, and they're
50.
super sensitive to vibrations
They have
and
those.
sounds.
You know, the wind is rushing. The things are blowing. It's a vibration, and it makes noise. You know what it is? I want to be a whale psychiatrist. It drives the whales freaking crazy, and
Yes.
something happens with them. But for whatever.
Hold up. You want to be a whale psychiatrist. What the hell, man? This man talking to the whales now? God damn, this motherfucker cold.
What?
They tripping on by it, man. He say he off the reservation. They left the building. He's gone. He's out here. To have any of y'all had somebody get called by poster and say who you're leaning toward? I haven't. And then, yeah, I would hang up in that face. I wouldn't even talk to him. So who talking to the poster? Why do people not like that? This is crooked stuff. He want to get that stuff straight. He could not even be involved with this. Like, he rich. And they ain't got to deal with no politics.
Things are people.
Bitch.
Your love of
Now, see, that's some enemy within type shit right there. Like, if you doing this type of shit, yeah, you a motherfucking enemy. God damn it, you need to go to jail. And you need somebody to put on you. That's too much fraud. You need to go to jail. If it's the military or whoever else need to come pick you up. Somebody, the ambulance, somebody to come get you.
Hitler yesterday.
Kamala's a very low IQ person. She's a very low IQ. You know, I'm for taking tests too. I think anybody that runs for president they should give them tests. And it's not an age thing. It's not based. If you look back on history, 70s and 80s, some of your greatest leaders in.
Can't wait to hear what the View has to say about that. Oh, he's called her stupid.
been a celebrity for a long time and you understand what this is like. But for someone who's in her late,
as they talk about him and call him multiple names, Ben took care of the problem, but they stretching it along.
and they tell these guys that are
Then did it in a couple of weeks, couple of days, few days, and it's taking. They said spread that money out. They're making money.
actually
Coming to a town near you if this administration stays in. If he gets in, let's get these illegals out of here. Legal, you can stay. Illegal, go.
no,
No matter who it is, get them up out of there. They're illegal, get them up out of there.
they speak no language. They speak no
English, man.
In fact, even the
He
language
said they speak no language.
they do speak, it's
A mistake, my bad. We're gonna take another break. We're gonna come back for the third segment. We're gonna knock this out. Trump, Joe Rogan, love yourself. Be back in a minute. Upload this. Holla. Love yourself. Trump.